The night over Earth was calm, and nothing looked strange, but deep inside the sky, something was moving, something so big and silent that even the stars looked nervous. In the control room of the Global Space Network, a young operator named Liam sat in front of hundreds of screens. For years, he had watched the sky for normal things, asteroids, satellites, weather signals, but tonight, he saw something he had never seen before. A small red light began to blink on his screen, slow at first, then faster. Liam leaned forward, confused. The signal was not from Earth, it was not from any known satellite, it was not natural, it was coming from deep space and heading straight toward the planet. Liam called his supervisor, his voice shaking. Within seconds, alarms started ringing inside the control center, more screens turned red, numbers began to jump, and strange patterns formed like a code no one understood. The scientists rushed into the room, trying to study the data, but nothing made sense. The first satellite disappeared. It did not explode, it did not break, it simply vanished like it was erased from the sky. Then a second one disappeared, and then a third. The world leaders received secret alerts, governments locked down all space communication, they did not want the public to panic. In the White House Situation Room, world leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. The president looked at the screens with a serious face. "Are we under attack?" he asked. No one could answer. The only thing everyone knew was this: the signals were getting stronger, and something was coming, something big. Above the Pacific Ocean, radar stations went silent one by one. It was like an invisible hand was turning off the sky. Soldiers checked their systems again and again, thinking it was a glitch, but the truth was much worse. Then, without warning, the clouds over the Pacific turned black. Even though it was daytime, a strange shadow covered the ocean, and the sun disappeared behind a massive object. The object slowly uncloaked, revealing itself for the first time. It was not one ship, it was hundreds, maybe thousands. Giant alien warships stood in perfect formation. Their metal was dark like burnt stone, their engines glowed with toxic green lights, their bodies were covered in sharp, jagged armor like a predator ready to strike. The alien fleet belonged to the KRYLL Dominion, a powerful war species feared across the galaxy. The KRYLL believed Earth was weak, unprepared, and easy to conquer. For them, this invasion was not a battle, it was supposed to be a quick hunt. Inside the lead KRYLL dreadnought, Commander Varrock stood tall, his red eyes glowed with pride as he watched Earth rotate slowly below. "Begin the first strike," he ordered, his voice was cold like metal. But Earth was not as helpless as they thought. Deep beneath the planet's surface, in a secret underground base hidden under the Rocky Mountains, a silent alarm activated. The doors of the command center opened as General Aiden Cross walked inside. He had been waiting for this day for many years. The room was filled with screens showing the alien fleet. Scientists, soldiers, and officers stood ready. General Cross looked at the largest screen. "So it finally begins," he said softly. He turned to his team. "Activate Project Horizon." A switch was pressed, and the whole underground base started to shake. Glowing blue lights filled the tunnels, and giant metal doors opened inside massive launch chambers hidden from the world. From the bottom of the ocean, a massive human warship began to rise, breaking through the water with incredible power. From the dark side of the moon, another ship launched silently into space, and from deep space stations disguised as asteroids, more ships began to awaken. The human fleet was nothing like the aliens expected. Their ships were sharp, fast, and built with advanced technology Earth had kept secret for decades. All this time, humanity had been preparing for the moment an alien fleet would come. Back in the sky, the KRYLL fleet charged their weapons. Thousands of plasma cannons aimed at Earth. Commander Varrock smiled. In his mind victory was already his. But just before he gave the final command to fire, something happened. A huge energy surge appeared behind the KRYLL fleet. The alien sensors went wild, their screens filled with static, their alarms screamed. Varrock shouted at his officers, "What is that? What is coming from behind us?" A shadow rose from deep space, something bright, something powerful. The KRYLL saw it and froze in shock. A massive human flagship appeared, shining like a new star. Its name was HSS Valkyrie, humanity's strongest creation. The KRYLL expected Earth to be weak, but now they understood the truth. Earth was ready, Earth was waiting, Earth was not afraid. And the first battle was about to begin. The KRYLL Dominion had ruled hundreds of worlds, and they believed no power in the galaxy could ever challenge them. Their history was written with conquest, fire, and fear. From the smallest moon to the strongest fortress world, everything had fallen before their war fleet, so when Earth appeared on their star charts as a primitive blue planet, they did not hesitate, they prepared to crush it like all the others. Inside the lead dreadnought, Commander Varrock stood before a giant holographic map of Earth. His massive armor glowed with dangerous crimson lines, marking him as a high-ranking war leader. KRYLL officers around him clicked their mandibles in excitement. They believed this invasion would be fast, glorious, and effortless. Varrock lifted his hand slowly, signaling silence. Humans have no unified defense, he declared with confidence. No interstellar ships, no energy weapons, no shields. His officers nodded, repeating old intelligence reports as if they were absolute truth. But none of them knew that these reports were already outdated, dangerously outdated. Varrock smirked, something close to amusement crossing his cold alien face. When we strike, Earth will not last even 1 minute, he said. The entire war room erupted in pride. Yet, far from Earth's orbit, something strange began to happen. One of the KRYLL sensor officers stared at his screen with confusion. He saw a sudden energy spike behind their fleet, a reading too strong to come from a normal starship. "Commander, I am detecting a surge," the officer said nervously. Varrock turned sharply. "A surge from where?" he demanded. "From empty space behind us," the officer replied. "It is unnatural." Varrock growled. "Space cannot be unnatural," he snapped. But he walked closer to the sensor station. The readings were rising fast, too fast. Still, Varrock waved his hand dismissively. "Ignore it. Humans cannot surprise us. Focus on the attack plan." In the war room, a large hologram displayed Earth cities, oceans, and landmarks. KRYLL officers made bets on which city would fall first. Some chose New York, others Beijing, others London. For them, this invasion was entertainment, a show of dominance. Meanwhile, on the other side of the fleet, small cracks of blue light began opening in space. The KRYLL sensors beeped louder, warning them again, but the officers turned the alarms off. They were too arrogant to believe anything could threaten them. Commander Varrock looked at Earth through the massive viewing window. "Begin charging the plasma cannons," he said, without hesitation. Dozens of large cannons on the dreadnought glowed with deadly energy. The KRYLL fleet prepared for total destruction. Back on Earth, humans watched the alien fleet through telescopes, satellites, and news feeds that leaked before governments could stop them. People across the world fell into fear. Cars stopped on highways, families gathered around TVs, students left classrooms. Everyone stared at the sky, thinking the end had come. But inside the secret underground base, General Aiden Cross watched the alien fleet with calm eyes. He stood like a man who had expected this invasion for a long time. His officers waited for his instruction. General Cross placed both hands on the table and said quietly, "They think we are weak." He paused, then added, "They have no idea what we built." Project Horizon continued to activate. Human warships powered up across hidden bases. The HSS Valkyrie, the strongest ship in the fleet, floated silently behind the KRYLL formation, just outside their sensors. The KRYLL had numbers, power, and experience, but they had made a fatal mistake. They underestimated humanity. Inside the KRYLL command center, another officer's screen suddenly flickered. "Commander, the energy surge behind us is growing," he said again. "Something is entering real space." Varrock hissed, annoyed that his officers kept interrupting him. "There is nothing behind us," he repeated. "We scanned that region already." The officer swallowed nervously. "Sir, the readings are stronger than our dreadnought." Varrock's eyes widened slightly, but he refused to show fear in front of his crew. "Impossible," he said. "No human ship could be that powerful." But then, everything changed in one moment. A massive pulse of light exploded behind the KRYLL fleet, turning every viewing screen white for a second. The entire war room shook. Alarms screamed through the dreadnought. KRYLL soldiers grabbed onto railings as the ship trembled like it was hit by an invisible wave. "What was that?" Varrock shouted. An officer screamed, "A ship has appeared behind us, massive size, unknown design, unknown technology. The holographic map updated, showing a giant shape rising behind the KRYLL fleet. The officers stared in horror as the data loaded. The design was sleek, sharp, and glowing with human-made blue energy. The letters appeared clearly. HSS Valkyrie. Varrock felt his chest tighten. For the first time in his career, he realized something terrifying. He had not come to attack a weak world. He had walked into a trap. From behind his fleet, the human flagship moved into position, its weapons locking onto the KRYLL dreadnought with silent precision. The KRYLL Dominion expected an easy hunt. But instead, they had become the prey. The invasion had not begun yet, but already the KRYLL understood one truth. Earth was not what they believed. And their arrogance would cost them everything. Deep underground beneath the Rocky Mountains, the hidden command center of Project Horizon pulsed with cold blue lights. Engineers ran across metal floors, officers checked screens with shaking hands, and the air was filled with a silent fear that pressed on every chest. Humanity had trained for many disasters, but nothing could match the horror of an alien fleet covering the sky like a dark storm. General Aiden Cross stood in the center, calm but sharp. His eyes reflected the massive hologram of the KRYLL fleet. He had seen many battles in his life, but this was the one he had feared for decades. Across the screens, thousands of enemy ships hovered in Earth's orbit, ready to attack. Status, he asked quietly. Project Horizon is fully online, a young officer replied. All systems are ready. General Cross nodded once. His voice was steady. Begin full activation. A red key was inserted into a slot. Another officer placed his hand on a biometric scanner. A loud metallic lock turned deep within the base, and the entire facility shook with power. From the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, a massive steel platform began to open. Water exploded upward as a gigantic human warship rose from the depths. Its dark metal armor glowed with blue lines, and its engines hummed like a sleeping giant waking up. This was the HSS Leviathan, one of Earth's silent guardians the world never knew existed. At the same time, on the far side of the moon, huge metal doors opened on the lunar surface, revealing 3 more warships hidden for years under layers of dust and rock. Their engines ignited silently, rising into the black void with deadly grace. In deep space, disguised as harmless asteroids, automated hangars activated, opening to reveal sleek destroyers built for speed and precision. Each ship powered up, lighting the darkness like blue stars. Humanity had spent decades building these weapons, all in secret, all for this moment. The human fleet formed quickly, sharp like blades, silent like shadows. Back in the command center, a technician shouted, "General, the Valkyrie has entered enemy territory." The hologram zoomed in to show the shining human flagship behind the KRYLL fleet. Its weapons were locked, and its shields glowed like a blue storm. General Cross exhaled slowly. "Good," he said, "let them know humans are not prey." The KRYLL fleet was in chaos. Their commanders tried to understand how a human warship appeared behind them without any warning. Their sensors struggled to read human technology. Every scan returned confusing numbers. The aliens who believed they knew everything about Earth suddenly knew nothing. On one of the smaller human cruisers, Captain Mira Hayes adjusted her headset. Her crew waited for her command, but her eyes stayed locked on the massive alien formation on the screen. "The KRYLL think Earth is alone," she said softly. "They are wrong." She turned to her bridge crew. "Prepare weapons." Human ships spread out like a silent wave, surrounding the KRYLL fleet from multiple angles. In orbit above Earth, the KRYLL finally prepared their first attack. Their giant plasma cannons glowed bright green, ready to fire with enough power to melt entire cities. Their officers shouted commands, their engines roared, and the entire alien armada aimed directly at the planet below. But right before they released the first blast, a bright blue flash appeared from the HSS Valkyrie. The KRYLL screens shook, alarms screamed through their ships. On board the dreadnought, Varrock shouted, "Identify that weapon." His officers panicked. "Unknown human energy signature," one cried, "we cannot block it." Varrock's claws tightened on the control panel. His arrogance began to break. Fear, a feeling he had never known, crawled up his spine. Back on Earth, the human command center watched everything. General Cross spoke without hesitation, "Fire the Horizon Lance." A beam of blue light shot from the Valkyrie, faster than anything the KRYLL had ever seen. It sliced through space, silent and perfect. The beam hit the largest KRYLL battleship in the center of their formation. For 1 second nothing happened, then the ship split apart like it was made of thin paper. The KRYLL fleet froze, every officer, every soldier, every commander went silent. They had never seen a weapon like this. Earth had just erased one of their strongest ships in a single clean strike. Captain Mira Hayes watched the explosion from her cruiser. "Message to the KRYLL," she said, "Earth is not the weak world you imagined." In the KRYLL command chamber, Varrock bared his teeth in rage and fear. How can humans have this power?" he demanded. But he received no answer, because even his officers were trembling, their arrogance was cracking, their confidence melting. Then something even worse happened for the KRYLL. More human warships uncloaked around them, dozens of them, forming a deadly ring. The alien fleet could not escape, could not hide, could not understand what they were facing. Humanity's last stand had activated, and it was not a last stand at all. It was a trap, perfectly planned, perfectly executed. The KRYLL had come to exterminate Earth. But now they saw the truth. Earth was ready. Earth was strong. Earth was rising. And the real battle was only beginning. The sky above Earth changed in an instant. One moment it was dark with the shadow of the KRYLL warfleet, the next moment it exploded with blue human energy flashing like lightning. The first minute of war had begun, but nothing happened the way the KRYLL expected. Inside the alien dreadnought, Commander Varrock forced himself to stand tall. His army had conquered 412 worlds, destroyed civilizations, and crushed empires. Never once had they struggled in the first minute of battle. They believed Earth would fall even faster. But now, their first shot had failed before it even fired. Their strongest ship had been cut in half, and a human flagship was standing behind them like a silent hunter. Varrock roared, "Fire all plasma cannons." The KRYLL fleet obeyed. Thousands of glowing green plasma blasts shot toward Earth. The beams lit up the sky like falling meteors, each one powerful enough to destroy a city. Oceans boiled under their light, clouds ripped apart, and the world seemed moments away from destruction. But then something impossible happened. Just before the plasma reached Earth's atmosphere, a shimmering blue barrier appeared. It looked thin like glass but glowed with the strength of a star. The plasma hit it, and vanished instantly. No explosion, no noise, nothing but silence. The KRYLL stared in disbelief. Varrock slammed his claws onto the control panel. "What shielding technology is this?" His officers shouted, "Unknown, Commander, we cannot break it." Earth was protected by a defense field the KRYLL had never seen before, a field controlled by Project Horizon. General Aiden Cross watched from Earth's command center, shield integrity holding at 100%, an officer announced. General Cross nodded, "Good, now we strike." In orbit, the human fleet moved like a single mind. The HSS Valkyrie led the formation, its engines glowing bright blue as it locked onto its next target. "Primary weapons ready," said Captain Arya Stone, commanding the Valkyrie. Her calm voice echoed across the bridge, "Target the nearest KRYLL cruiser." A blue beam shot forward, faster than lightning. It pierced the alien ship cleanly, cutting it apart in a perfect line. The cruiser fell silent, then drifted into two pieces. The KRYLL panic spread instantly. "This cannot be human technology," one officer cried. "They never had ships like this," another shouted. Varrock roared in anger, "Regain formation, fight back." But the human fleet did not give them time. The HSS Leviathan rose from the Pacific, its cannons glowing with blue fire. It launched a pulse wave that pushed several KRYLL frigates away like toys. Their engines overloaded, sparks burst from their hulls, and they spun wildly out of control. On the moon side, 3 human destroyers fired synchronized shots, their beams weaved together like threads of light, striking a huge KRYLL battleship at the same time. The alien ship cracked like a giant egg, flames shooting out into the void. The KRYLL had never seen such coordination. In just 17 seconds, they had lost multiple ships. Human captains didn't celebrate, they focused, their movements were sharp, precise, almost too fast to be human. Behind every action was years of secret training, simulations, and preparation for this exact invasion. Inside the dreadnought, Varrock felt fear crawling into his bones. He had led many battles, but never against an enemy that understood him better than he understood himself. A KRYLL officer shouted, "Commander, the humans are outmaneuvering us." Another screamed, "They are predicting our moves." Varrock turned sharply, "How?" No one answered, because the truth was simple. Humanity had studied the KRYLL for years. Humanity had prepared for this battle long before the KRYLL ever arrived. Humanity knew their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses. And now, the KRYLL were paying for every moment they underestimated Earth. In space, the human flagship accelerated, weaving between enemy ships like a blade cutting through shadows. The Valkyrie fired again, destroying a cluster of KRYLL fighters in a single flash. The KRYLL fleet tried to retreat, pulling back to form a defensive wall, but the human ships moved faster, surrounding them. The alien fleet was being pushed into a tightening circle, every escape path closing. Earth's defense grid activated next. From orbital platforms hidden inside clouds, human railguns fired bright silver rounds, each round punched through alien armor like it was paper, explosions lighting the darkness. The KRYLL felt something they had never felt in battle. Helplessness. Inside the dreadnought, Varrock stared at the hologram of his shrinking fleet. Every passing second was another loss, another explosion, another failure. "This cannot be possible," he whispered. But it was happening right in front of him. Earth, the world he thought would crumble in seconds, was destroying the KRYLL fleet with terrifying speed. The first minute of war was not even over. And the KRYLL dominion was already broken. Already bleeding. Already failing. Earth had flipped the entire battle upside down. Now, the invaders realized a truth they never imagined. Humanity was not defending. Humanity was hunting. And the hunt had only just begun. The battlefield in space had changed completely. A few minutes ago, the KRYLL Dominion had arrived as proud conquerors ready to crush a weak planet. Now they floated in chaos, surrounded by explosions, broken ships, and the cold blue glow of human weapons. Their confidence was shattered, their pride was burning, their fear was rising fast. Inside the lead dreadnought, Commander Varrock gripped the edge of his control table, his claws dug into the metal. He had never felt fear in battle, but now the feeling grew inside him like poison. Every time he looked at the screens, he saw his fleet shrinking, burning, dying. A frightened KRYLL officer shouted, "More human ships are appearing behind us." Another cried, "We cannot escape, hyperspace lanes are blocked." Varrock snarled, "Humans do not have the power to block hyperspace." But he was wrong. High above the human fleet, dozens of small devices glowed like blue stars. These were hyperspace jammers, human inventions that trapped the KRYLL fleet inside a cage of folded space. No one could enter, no one could leave. Humanity had prepared everything, every trap, every counterattack. On the human flagship HSS Valkyrie, Captain Arya Stone watched the panic spreading through the alien formation. Her crew observed the scans with calm faces. Their training had taught them to be steady even in the face of destruction. "Target the next cluster," she said, "only disable." Her second-in-command nodded, "Aye, Captain." The Valkyrie fired again, but this time, instead of destroying the alien ships, it released a precise electromagnetic pulse. The pulse hit 6 KRYLL frigates, shutting off their engines instantly. They drifted powerless into space, unable to fight, unable to run. Inside those ships, KRYLL soldiers screamed as lights went out, systems died, and controls froze. Their armor sensors flickered, showing nothing but darkness. Fear wrapped around them like icy chains. The KRYLL had always believed fear was something only weaker species felt. But now they understood that fear was something everyone felt when facing death. Back inside the dreadnought, another officer shouted, "Commander, we are losing ships every 20 seconds. Varrock's breathing became heavy. How did humans gain such power?" he demanded. No one answered, because even the officers no longer understood what they were facing. Human warships moved with incredible precision, they did not rush, they did not hesitate, every strike was clean, every maneuver was perfect. From Earth's command center, General Aiden Cross monitored everything, his calm voice echoed through the communication network, "Proceed to Phase 3. In space, Phase 3 activated. Human drones, small, fast, glowing machines, swarmed into the battlefield like silver birds. They dodged alien fire, attached themselves to KRYLL hulls, and disabled entire ships without causing explosions. The KRYLL fighters tried to shoot them down, but the drones moved too fast, too smart, too unpredictable. A young KRYLL pilot cried out, "They are everywhere, I cannot shake them." Another yelled, "My engines are failing." On the human cruiser Horizon Blade, Captain Mira Hayes issued her command, "Tell them one last time, surrender." A message was broadcast to every alien ship, the voice calm and steady. "This is General Aiden Cross of Earth, surrender now, you are surrounded, resistance will only bring destruction." But the KRYLL Dominion was too proud, their entire history was built on conquest, they believed surrender was shameful, they believed death was better. Varrock roared, "We will never surrender to humans." He activated a command no KRYLL officer ever wanted to see. The eradication mode. This was a last resort order where every KRYLL ship was programmed to self-destruct rather than be captured. The KRYLL screens glowed red as countdowns began inside dozens of alien ships. Inside the human command center, alarms blared, "General, they have activated suicide protocols." General Cross clenched his jaw, "Disable them before they explode." The human fleet responded instantly, moving like lightning. The Valkyrie fired a focused EMP blast, disabling 3 suicide commands at once. The Leviathan rammed one KRYLL battleship out of position before its reactor could go critical. Human drones infiltrated alien ships, shutting down countdown sequences seconds before detonation. But not all were stopped. One KRYLL frigate exploded violently, sending a wave of fire and debris across the battlefield. A second ship followed, then a third. The battlefield flashed with the light of KRYLL desperation. Inside the dreadnought, Varrock watched the destruction with wide eyes. His plan to die in glory had only caused more chaos. Instead of victory, he saw his empire collapsing right in front of him. Then something unexpected happened. A bright blue beam struck the dreadnought's engines, not to destroy, but to disable. The massive ship shook violently and came to a stop. All power died, leaving only red emergency lights glowing weakly. Varrock stumbled forward, confused. He expected destruction, not mercy. Why would humans spare the flagship? A message appeared on his main screen. It was simple. It was cold. It was final. "Stand down, KRYLL Commander, you have lost." Varrock sank to his knees. Fear, shame, and exhaustion washed over him. The invaders who once believed they were unstoppable finally understood the truth. Earth was not weak. Earth was not prey. Earth was the nightmare every conqueror feared. And now the KRYLL Dominion felt that nightmare in their bones. The KRYLL dreadnought drifted silently in space, its engines dead, its lights dim, and its once proud crew frozen in shock. The fear inside the ship felt heavy, like a storm cloud pressing down on every soul. The mighty flagship that once led the invasion with pride was now nothing more than a powerless metal giant, trapped in a cage of human warships. Commander Varrock stood in the center of the bridge with his claws trembling. Around him, officers whispered in fear, their confidence, their pride, their arrogance, all of it had melted away. One officer said weakly, "Commander, we have lost." Another added, "Our weapons are offline, our engines are dead, our fleet is gone." Varrock felt something sharp in his chest, a feeling he had never experienced. it was not anger, it was not shame, it was something far more painful. It was defeat. But the human fleet did not destroy the dreadnought. Instead, they moved into formation around it, guarding it like a prisoner. Slowly, a blue beam of light connected the human flagship HSS Valkyrie to the KRYLL dreadnought. It was a docking tether. "They are boarding us," a KRYLL officer whispered. "Humans are coming." Varrock wanted to roar, wanted to fight, wanted to die with honor, but his strength was gone, his crew was broken, his empire was silent. He had nothing left but fear. Moments later, the dreadnought shook as a human boarding vessel attached to the side, a hatch opened, and armored human soldiers stepped inside. Their armor glowed faintly with blue lines, their helmets reflected the weak red lights of the KRYLL ship. They moved with perfect, silent discipline, not like confused primitives, but like elite warriors from a powerful empire. The KRYLL soldiers aimed their weapons weakly, but their hands were shaking too much to fire. One of them whispered, "They look stronger than we imagined." Another said, "Humans are not animals." When the human team reached the bridge, Varrock stepped forward, ready to face them. His eyes were full of rage but also fear. He had never bowed to anyone, not even to his own emperor. But when he looked at the human commander walking toward him, something inside him broke. General Aiden Cross stood tall in his armored suit, calm, focused, powerful. His eyes were sharp, like a man who had seen war and survived it. He did not look cruel, he did not look angry, he only looked certain. Varrock growled, "Why did you spare my ship? Why did you not destroy us like all the others?" General Cross removed his helmet slowly, his voice was steady. "Because we are not here to wipe out species," he said, "we are here to survive." Varrock's voice cracked, "You should have been weak." General Cross replied, "We were weak, once." He stepped closer, his footsteps echoing across the silent bridge. "But weakness forced us to prepare," he said, "weakness forced us to evolve." He looked into Varrock's red eyes. "And weakness made us dangerous." The words hit Varrock harder than any weapon. For years, the KRYLL believed Earth was a primitive world. They thought human strength came from numbers, or luck, or desperation. But now he understood the truth. Human strength came from fear turned into determination. From pain turned into innovation. From hope turned into power. Varrock lowered his head, his voice barely a whisper, "Your fleet, your weapons, your technology. How did you build it?" General Cross looked around the alien bridge. "We knew you were coming," he said quietly, "we have known for many years." The KRYLL officers gasped. Varrock lifted his head sharply, "Impossible." General Cross continued. "We saw your first drone 2 decades ago. We intercepted your scout signals. We found wreckage you left behind. We studied your weapons." He stepped closer. "You attacked other worlds, and you didn't hide it well." Varrock felt a cold shock move through him. "You built all this, because of us." General Cross nodded slowly. "Yes," he said, "you forced us to grow. You forced us to unite. You forced us to become stronger than we ever imagined." Varrock sank to one knee, not out of respect, but because his legs could no longer hold him. The bridge fell silent. Human soldiers watched without fear. KRYLL officers watched without hope. Varrock whispered, "My empire will not accept this defeat." General Cross replied, "Your empire no longer has the power to choose." It was a simple sentence, but it was the final blow. The KRYLL Dominion, a galactic terror for centuries, had fallen in less than an hour, their strongest fleet destroyed, their commanders defeated, their pride turned into ashes floating in the cold dark of space. General Cross gave his final command. "Transmit a message to all remaining KRYLL ships." He turned toward the hologram. "Stand down, or be disarmed." Across the battlefield, the remaining KRYLL ships received the message. One by one, their weapons went offline, their engines shut down, their power faded, the war was over. Not because Earth begged for mercy. but because Earth earned victory. For the first time in their long history, the KRYLL Dominion had been humbled. And humanity stood victorious, rising as a new power in the galaxy. The fall of the KRYLL command was complete. The battlefield around Earth had become silent, the smoke of war drifted slowly through space, glowing blue under the light of human shields. The once mighty KRYLL armada now floated powerless, broken, and defeated. Ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds now drifted like empty shells, their engines dead, their pride shattered. In the command center deep underground, General Aiden Cross stood before a giant holographic map showing the calm, unmoving alien fleet. Officers around him watched with respect and disbelief. No one celebrated, no one cheered, everyone understood what had just happened. Humanity had not only survived an invasion, humanity had changed the galaxy. An officer approached. "General, all KRYLL ships have stopped fighting." General Cross nodded. "Good, maintain full containment." Above Earth, the HSS Valkyrie hovered between the broken alien ships like a guardian. Its bright blue engines bathed the battlefield in a calm but powerful glow. Human drones continued to secure enemy vessels, disabling weapons, stabilizing reactors, and preventing any last act of destruction. Inside the KRYLL dreadnought, Commander Varrock leaned heavily against a metal pillar. His armor was cracked, his voice weak. His officers gathered around him silently. Their entire fleet was in ruins, the Dominion's strength had vanished. Varrock whispered, This is the end of our empire." General Cross, standing across from him on the bridge, replied calmly. "It is not the end, Commander." His voice held no cruelty, only truth. "It is the beginning of something new." Varrock's eyes narrowed. "Something new for you, perhaps, but my people will not accept this shame." General Cross looked at him directly. "Shame is only a burden if you refuse to learn." He stepped closer. "Humanity has known shame, defeat, and fear. But we turned all of it into strength." Those words struck Varrock harder than any weapon. He lowered his head, realizing that humans had evolved through their suffering, while the KRYLL had grown weak through their pride. A moment later, a communication officer on the human side announced, "General, the galaxy-wide broadcast system is ready." General Cross nodded once. "Open the channel." All across the Milky Way, in distant star systems, on alien worlds, in space stations and deep space listening posts, screens flickered, alarms beeped, and millions of beings paused as a single message began to spread across the galaxy. The face of General Aiden Cross appeared on every transmission, strong, calm, unwavering. "This is Earth," he began, his voice echoing through the stars. "We did not seek this war, we did not provoke it. We defended ourselves because we had no choice." His words carried the strength of every human who had fought, built, sacrificed, and hoped. "The KRYLL fleet came to destroy us," he continued, "but we stood together. We fought back with everything we built, everything we learned, and everything we are." Alien leaders across the galaxy watched, stunned. For centuries, Earth was ignored, judged, underestimated. But now, humanity spoke not as a victim, but as a power. General Cross's expression became firm. "Let this be understood clearly. Earth does not start wars." He leaned slightly forward. "But Earth will finish them." A chill spread across alien worlds. Never had a young species spoken with such conviction. Never had a new power emerged so decisively. General Cross continued. "We offer peace to all who respect it. We offer friendship to all who seek it. But we will answer destruction with strength." The message ended with a single line. Bright, simple, unforgettable. "If you attack Earth, you will not survive the first minute." Across the galaxy, the transmission ended, leaving entire civilizations in stunned silence. Some species felt fear. Others felt respect. A few felt admiration. But all of them understood one truth. Earth had awakened. Back on the KRYLL dreadnought, Varrock stared at the human commander, now fully realizing his empire's mistake. You have changed everything today, he said quietly. General Cross replied, No, Commander, your invasion changed everything. We only responded. Varrock sank lower. What will happen to the KRYLL Dominion now? General Cross turned away, watching the stars outside the viewport. That depends on the choices you make next. Your empire can rebuild, or fall apart. But it will not rise through conquest again. His voice carried a steel edge. Not while humanity stands. Outside, human warships created a protective formation around Earth, glowing like a ring of blue fire. The KRYLL survivors watched in silence, fear and respect mixing in their hearts. The war was over. Earth had not only survived but had risen as a force impossible to ignore. Humanity had sent a message to the cosmos. A message that would be remembered for centuries. Earth was no longer a quiet, isolated, fragile world. Earth was a power. Earth was a warning. Earth was a promise. And for the first time in galactic history, every star civilization whispered the same words in fear and awe. Do not attack the humans. They will destroy your fleet in seconds. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars. And the galaxy would never be the same again.